So it's 7.
To the public, if you can hear me, I'm sorry for the delay. We had a technical difficulty and waiting for one council member, but we're going to start. All right, so Madam Clerk.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10:4-6 et sec, notice of which was sent to the record and the Star Ledger and was posted on the municipal bulletin board.
Okay.
We'll do a roll
Roll
call.
call, please.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sims. Is he on? Okay. Councilmember Pataglia.
Here.
Mayor LaBrosse.
Here. Would everybody please rise for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we need to close the executive session?
Yes, yes, Mayor. You need to close the executive session, and I just want to note for the public, we did have an executive session starting at 6:15 p.m. today. The purpose of the executive session was to talk about ongoing affordable housing litigation involving the Council for Affordable Housing and the Fair Share Housing Center, and also another litigation entitled Deschamps versus the City of Hackensack. And those were the cases that were discussed in the closed session. I do see that Deputy Mayor Sims is now back in the meeting, by the way.
Okay, very good. All right, there are no proclamations or presentations. There's no approval of any minutes, so we'll go right to the city manager's report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and the invited guests. This is the city manager's report for May 19, 2020. First, I would like to thank the Bergen County Administrator, Tedesco, and the Bergen County OEM for their joint effort for the COVID-19 testing site that took place the past week at our M&M building. Many residents were able to take advantage of the testing site. We look forward to future testing date that will be shared with everyone. 2, our annual Memorial Day service at Memorial Park will be pre-recorded and shared on Hackensack.org in honor of military personnel who have died while serving the United States Armed Forces. Obviously, because of social distancing, the normal public event that we have on Memorial Day will be suspended under these current circumstances. 3, we regret to inform you that our 4th of July celebration of fireworks has been canceled. Our summer concert series has been postponed until 2021. Also, many Hack Pack events have been canceled. Friday night concert series, all of those have been canceled. Please refer to our website for up-to-date information. 4, the city's splash parks will remain closed for the summer. 5, reminder, our second quarter tax payment grace period has been extended till June 1st. Effective June 2nd, interest will revert to the statutory due date of May 1st. City Hall is closed to the public. Please utilize our drop box in the tunnel area of our City Hall parking lot to drop off your payment. Online payments are also accepted, check or money order only. 6, police work, strike that. Police Week is a time when the country comes together to honor those brave men and women in law enforcement who have lost their lives while serving their communities. We also recognize the tremendous sacrifice that law enforcement officers make for us every day. In honor of Police Week, which was last week, we'd like to thank the Hackensack Police Department for its continued efforts in keeping our community safe and secure. 7, the city of Hackensack is asking residents to have a say in our future of our parks and outdoor community space. We would like you to look. Please visit the Hackensack.org to share the feedback via 2020 Open Space Recreation Plan Survey. 8, Now I would like to introduce Patrice Forsman from Main Street Business Alliance to introduce their budget for 2020. Patrice, are you with us?
He's on mute. Make sure you get off of mute.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank
Hi,
you.
Patrice.
Thank you, City Manager Ehrenberg. It's a pleasure and an honor to be in front of the Mayor and City Council tonight. I want to say good evening to everyone. And on behalf of the trustees of the Main Street Business Alliance, thank you for the opportunity to present our budget for 2020. Through the efforts of the Main Street Business Alliance and its strong partnership with the City of Hackensack, Main Street's future is brighter. The MSBA has nurtured the revitalization of Hackensack's historic retail district since 2004, and we will continue to work diligently, especially at present, to minimize the devastating effects of COVID-19 through this year and through 2021. The Main Street Business Alliance is steadfast in its mission to help bring our downtown to its full potential. Our proposed budget for 2020 demonstrates clearly and firmly that the MSBA wants each and every property owner and merchant on Main Street to recover from this pandemic with the strength and fiscal health they will need to succeed. Every line item on this budget reflects a resolve to stand with our members and assist them in every possible way. Thank you for your support and stewardship these past years. Together, we will ensure Main Street's recovery and, in fact, Main Street's redevelopment as we welcome our newest Hackensack residents and ever-expanding business community. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Patrice.
Thank you.
This isn't open for discussion at this point. This is just the introduction of the Main Street Alliance business budget. And now we will hear from Jim Mangan, who has a housekeeping issue to review briefly the 2020 municipal budget. Jim?
Okay, well, just remember that tonight we'll be doing the public hearing on the budget amendment that was passed at the 5th meeting. Okay, the amendment had to do with the amount of debt service that we had allocated for an interest payment in the parking utility, which was really the only thing of substance in the amendment. There were two other small issues. A reworking of the state aid, but no change to the numbers, and a reworking of an interlocal agreement, but no changing of any numbers. So tonight, we'll have the public hearing on the budget amendment, and later on in the business portion of the meeting, the mayor and council can vote to either adopt the budget or to amend it again.
Okay. And with that, we're going to move on to the public hearing. Correct,
Yes.
Ted?
That's right.
All right, so I need a motion to open to the public for the 2020 budget amendment, please.
I'll offer.
Need a second?
Second.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Second.
Anybody from the public who'd like to speak to the budget amendment, please make yourself vocal. If you're on mute, please take yourself off of mute if you want to speak about the budget. Anybody from the public want to speak on the budget? Now is the time. Going once, going twice. Hearing no one from the public, motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg. Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye.
Excuse me, Mayor, could we just get a confirmation that there were no email comments sent in for the public hearing?
No, we got nothing.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. Thank you. So we're going to move on with business resolution 194-20.
Okay, this is a resolution authorizing the adoption of the 2020 municipal budget.
I need a motion, please.
I'll offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg. Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye.
Okay.
And with that, since we've already had the public hearing on that, we'll move to 195-20.
This is a resolution authorizing the City of Hackensack tax collector to prepare and mail estimated tax bills in accordance with PL 1994 C-72.
Need a motion, please?
I'll offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 196-20.
This is a resolution for the Main Street Business Alliance, Inc. 2020 budget.
Need a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. No more reading on that, we're good?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, resolution 197-20.
Resolution authorizing the establishment of reserve for preliminary expenses for the LSRP services for various parks.
Need a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 198-20.
A resolution authorizing award of contract for the LSRP engineering service to Suburban Consulting Engineering for Stuyve Park and Columbus Park.
Need a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 199-20.
It's a resolution authorizing tax refunds for state board judgments and duplicate payments.
Need a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 200-20.
A resolution adopting the agreement between the City of Hackensack and the Hackensack DPW Sanitation Employees United Public Service Employees Union, UPSEU, for the period January 1, 2018 through December 31st, 2021.
Need a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Resolution 201-20, payment of bills.
Resolution authorizing the payment of bills.
Need a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Okay, before we go into consent agenda, there's only 3 on here. Does anybody have any conflicts with the 3 resolutions we're voting on tonight? Seeing no one from the council with a conflict, please go ahead.
The following items are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda, and the consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes, including any exceptions and/or additions. The consent consists of Resolution 202 through 204. Resolution 202-20 is a resolution authorizing the Johnson Public Library to apply for the New Jersey Library Construction Bond Act in the amount of $1,733,929. Resolution 203-20 is a resolution authorizing award of contract to Suburban Consulting Engineer for Main Street streetscape improvements, Atlantic Street to Passaic Street, And Resolution 204-20 is a resolution authorizing award of contract to Neglia Engineering for engineering services for West Lookout Avenue Drainage Improvement Project. Need a
Okay.
motion?
Need a motion?
I'll offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Okay, thank you. With that, I need a motion to open to the public, please.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Anybody from the public who would like to speak, now is your time. If you're on video, make sure you take yourself off mute. If you're on a phone, was it *4 or *6, Frank?
Star six.
I
If you
think.
hit star on your phone, you'll be able to speak if you're just on audio. All right, so anybody from the public
Yes,
would like to
good
speak?
evening. Victor, concerned citizen of Hackensack, proud member of the work group. I have a question. I asked the question last week.
Mayor LaBrus. Mayor-
Yes, hold on, please. Victor,
Yes,
somebody would like to say something first, please. Thank you. Hold on. Stop the clock so he has his 3 minutes. Please.
Okay.
Mr. Geddes, you didn't give your last name. Is this you?
yes.
All right, Mr. Geddes. I was not here present at the meeting at our last meeting. And you accused me of things when I was not there to defend myself. In my opinion, this is the definition of a coward. Not only was I will finish speaking and you will have a turn to respond because I will not do to you what you did to me. Not only was I not there to defend myself, I was not there due to the death of my husband, which was made obvious during that meeting. And for you to do that is unconscionable, in my opinion. And certainly not representative of the people that live in this city. It's actually disgraceful. And just to set the record straight, to answer the way I would have answered should I have been there at the last meeting, I know Mr. Oates because he's a member of the fire department. The other two people that were running on that ticket, to this day, I have never met them or I have never spoken to them. So these accusations that you made are totally unfounded. And your behavior, to me, again, unconscionable. Thank
Are you finished?
Allow me to answer.
Okay. Now, first of all, I'm nobody damn coward.
You're a coward.
You don't know me. And so for you to make that statement, before you make that statement, you should try to find out something about me. Number two, I wish to thank the city council for allowing the 3- to run. And also, I was told by Mr. Powell when he was vetting me to be on that slate that he had to check with you if it was okay first. And another point, Mr. Sims was running around Hackensack seeking to find people to be on that slate as long as they had nothing to do with the work group. So for you to make that statement, so either Mr. Powell is lying or you're lying. So I just want to know the truth. What was your involvement with the Board of Education slate?
Are you finished? We'll let you finish your 3 minutes and I will answer.
No, you can answer now because I'm finished.
Okay, as
Don't
I
call me
said,
no damn coward.
very clearly before you spoke, so I will repeat myself. Mr. Oates, I know Mr. Oates because he's a fireman, a member of the fire department. The other two individuals that ran on that slate, to this day, I have never met them or never spoken to them. So I had no involvement with the selection of candidates for that ticket. I also spoke to Mr. Powell, and if need be, I'm sure I can get him to come to the next council meeting. What he explained to me was Mr. Glover asked Mr. Powell if you could run on the slate that Mr. Powell was forming. And Mr. Powell's answer was his slate was already complete and selected. That is what Mr. Powell told
Well,
me.
let me
And I
just say-
asked him about this, excuse me, when I asked him about that, you said you were done. When I asked him about this conversation. So I had no involvement in this election whatsoever, or the selection of the candidates whatsoever. If you've been listening to what I've been saying, my husband has not been well for the past number of months, and I've been performing my duties to the best of my ability to support this city, and it's been very difficult and very challenging. I certainly did not have time to be involved in the selection of candidates, or really other than voting and reading the information myself so that I could vote as an educated consumer. That's the only participation I had as far as this election goes. And that
Now-
should be the end of the subject.
Now,
Your
no,
name
it's
was
not-
never
this is
mentioned
the
to me.
begin- this
I
is
knew
the
nothing about
beginning,
it.
because
So you
I
said
like
you were
to-
finished, so I think we're done.
No, I want to make a statement.
There is no other
So
statement.
I just want to make one statement for the record.
Mr. Geddes.
Mr. Powell, if he said that to you,
Over.
Mr. Geddes, please.
Hello, Mr. Powell is here.
Thank you, Lance.
Let me know when I can speak, please. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
You're next. You have 3 minutes, Mr. Powell.
May I speak now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, hold on, please. Good evening, everyone. Quickly, I met with Mr. Geddes, and hello, Mr. Geddes. I met with you and Randy Glover at it was actually Mr. Glover that invited me, and he told me to share your concerns that you're interested in running on the board. And I said, I met with both of you, courtesy, because I know Mr. Glover for a long time, and you shared that you would like to run. However, I want to just clear this up quickly for everyone involved. We have 3 people running. Anyone can run for a school board. You could run 1 slate, 2 slates, 3 slates, it doesn't matter. No one stopped you from running, Mr. Geddes. When I spoke to you in the presence of Mr. Glover, I told you explicitly that, you're new, try to get your feet wet. We welcome you. And you also told me in person that you don't mind staying on the outside and being an active and try to get things done from the outside. You were very good about it. There was no disagreement. There was no one saying you shouldn't run. So I was very surprised that it came out publicly that the city council or Kathy said that you should not run. And for the record, I never organized a meeting with you. Here in my cell phone, I kept all the records where Mr. Glover was the one who actually thanked me for the meeting. Randy Glover was the one who actually set up the meeting and told me not to forget to meet. And he told me, Victor Geddes, he also forwarded your number and I never called you. And he forwarded your number when he came from California and asked me to meet with you, and I did. And you're not the only person I met with. I met with many candidates who were interested. But however, we selected 3 candidates, which I think was okay, and the elections are over. I just wanted to say no one stopped you from running. I didn't, no one did. And going forward, anyone can run. You can form any slates you want. So I just wanted to clarify, I met with you because you asked me to. And Mr. Glover was the one who set up the meeting. It's all here in my cell phone for the records. There was no conversations with you. All the conversations came from Mr. Glover. Here it is, whatever time is good for you. Can you call me, myself, and Victor Geddes to meet? All this came from Randy. There was no conversations with you. So I appreciate you trying to run, and I hope you run in the future. But I just want to clarify that Kathy, Dave, Leo, Stephanie, John, no one stopped you from running, or I didn't stop you from running, Mr. Geddes. I just want to clarify that. So we can move on.
No. Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Clarify what?
3 minutes are over.
Right.
Thank you.
There's no back and forth between the people on from the public going back and forth. Can't have it. Next, please.
Yes, hi, this is Bridget, and this question is to the city manager. On April the 10th, the governor did an executive order 122 that everything was to shut down for non-essential work. On April 17th, at 9:55 in the morning, construction was still going on. The order did not end until May 18th at 6 a.m. in the morning. So can you explain to me why the city of Hackensack defined the governor's executive order with the construction still going on for non-essential construction? Everything was to stop on 4/10 of 2020 at 8 p.m.
Mayor, do you want me to answer that now, or are you done, ma'am?
I'm done. You can go ahead and answer. I have nothing.
Go ahead, Ed.
I just
Okay, Bridget, for the record, your name and address since you're calling in.
Hackensack.
No. You reside in Hackensack on the street. Your address.
Stanley Place. You know where I live. You've been here.
That's it.
Okay,
Because-
I'm just saying, Stanley Place.
And you don't know the house number, the address?
That I've never given you my address before, but it's Stanley Place, and I'm part of the work group. So
Well, I have no involvement in the work.
I understand. I just don't want to go back and forth, and I don't have to give you my address. There is no law in saying that I have to give you my
Question,
address.
Ted.
Let me jump in here for 1 second. I mean, we are in this new world of Zoom
Right.
meetings here. It is appropriate, given the circumstances, that anyone who wishes to speak at a council meeting give their full name and certainly their municipality of residence. A street address, for the record, is not critically necessary, but it is necessary for the record that someone introduce themselves by at least their full name and to know whether they are a resident of the municipality or not. And that's what I would ask for all people speaking.
Okay, sir. Since you said that, Mr. Kleinman,
Yes, ma'am.
is that in bylaw somewhere? Is that a bylaw, or is that something you're making up along this journey here?
We have to keep a record, ma'am. We have to keep minutes.
Okay, and when I've stood before you inside your chamber, I've said my name is Bridget and I am a resident of Hackensack. I've said that on numerous occasions. Or do I need to go back into the minutes?
Yes, ma'am, but we can't see you. That's the difference. Is we don't know who you are, and that's why we're asking that people.
I'm quite sure you know this voice, and I'm quite sure everybody on that panel knows this voice. I'm the one that people have said to me, they hate when you come into the door. So yeah, it's me.
No.
Okay?
Ma'am,
If the
I'm
city manager can answer the question.
I'm trying to keep an accurate record, so when the city clerk has to do minutes, so that you're properly recorded for making your comments, that the record is clear as to who it is that is making these comments. Again, I whether we recognize your voice or not, I mean, if that were the standard, it would be very difficult, when we have a lot of people speaking, and I'm not going to guess as to people's voices. As I said, I've dealt with these issues before, and as I said, we do have a right to know if a person is a resident of the town or not. I'm not asking you beyond that, but there should be no reason why somebody speaking before the governing body can't give, especially when we cannot see your face, there's no video of you, to know your full name. And ma'am, I don't know your full name. Other people may, who are part of the city, but I respectfully do not.
So my point is, we can't see your face. When you asked me for that document in reference to minority hiring, I had to go through all these records to find out where you live. I'm just trying to housekeeping make this seamless. To answer your question, under the executive order of the governor, there's a clause in there that says that these buildings have to be weather tight. So if their windows are all missing, the roof's not on, you have to make, and the coronavirus shut down these jobs, you have to make these people enclosed and protected. Otherwise, one, they can't work, and two, now they lose the value of their property because, it got flooded, or they had electrical wiring in there, or all the insulation got wet. So that clause was that, and so then we asked contractors or developers to put in a written request their need to at least make these buildings weather tight. Now they've lifted the ban, but that's the reason why there was still construction going on. And
Okay,
it's in the clause.
I read the executive order from top to bottom when they did the cease on April the 4th. April the 10th rather. That is not the case here. When you say to secure the building top and front, we had an actual construction going on where they were framing the building. So that is not.
Ma'am, if
I
those,
have pictures.
well,
So
you can listen.
I'm just telling you. I'm just saying. So that way you don't go into a thing with me. But I have pictures, so that way I can show you the pictures. They were framing the building. So
Okay.
that's not securing anything around the bottom of the building with their plastic. They were framing a building.
Mayor, her time is up.
All right, we're past 3 minutes. I need the next caller, please.
Hi, this is Randy Glover. Good evening, City Council. Just to make something a little clear, yeah, I did ask Lance to meet with Victor. Lance is a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, and I know he's on the president of the board. So he did do me the favor and meet with Vic, and in the conversation, Kathy's name did come up. Okay. So I will leave it at that. Now, I think it might be a further conversation to be had by the parties involved. So as not to get it confused, I think that's what might need to happen so there can be some further clarification. My issue that I would really like to know from the city is we have over $1 billion worth of construction going on. We have over 3,000 apartment units being developed. Are there any Black developers? Are there any Black contractors? Are there any Black subcontractors? Are there any Black workers? Also, are any of these properties or any of these zones, hub zones, enterprise zones, or any particular zones that are getting federal money, any set aside city money? And how are Black developers supposed to get the information from the city? We have a city council person who is African American, who I would think would give that type of information to the community, especially when this town is comprised of 60% of Black and brown people, yet we're not adequately represented, whether it's on the council, whether it's in the business district. And I have nothing against the business district or anybody else, but it's about having a fair shot. And I just don't see that information being disseminated. So can you answer that, please?
I will answer that. Are you done, Randy?
Yeah, John, thank you.
All right. So I'm going to start at the bottom first. The downtown is not in an enterprise zone. It's in a rehabilitation zone, which is a state-run program. As far as Black developers coming in, my only answer to that is Hackensack is one of the busiest, most upticking town in the state of New Jersey and in the Northeast. There's so much development going on here. There's developers from all over. Developers come from as far as waypoints out of California. So, I mean, we're on the map all over. And the fact that you keep asking, why aren't the developers Black? I'd have to ask the Black developers why they haven't come to Hackensack, because that's my question. Because we don't pick developers, they come to us. We don't call developers, hey, you want to build a building? Doesn't work like that. They come here, they come to us. And I'd be more than happy to meet with anybody, no matter what their race, creed, color is. It has nothing to do with the redevelopment of Hackensack. We'd be more than welcome to have them come. If you know any Black developers, have them call, have them speak to Albert. So that answers that. The Black workers, I can't, are there Black developers? Obviously, I don't think so. Are there you asked if there were subcontractors at Black. I can't
Black,
answer that.
right. Contractors, subcontractors, workers.
I can't answer that. I did, I went and asked developers your basically percentage of minorities on your job, and they gave me some different numbers, but it didn't specify what minority they might have been. So I'd have to now go back and ask them if it's specifically Black workers, which I'd be more than happy to do.
Okay, that would be great. But also under certain state regulations, aren't there supposed to be some set asides, whether it's MWBE, SBE, WOSB, which you know what those acronyms are, I take it, as you know, as to having a certain percentage set aside for minority vendors. It just seems strange because I've spoken to other mayors in 2 particular municipalities that have billion-dollar projects, and they have Black developers.
Well, I can't answer to you, Randy, why there's no Black developers in town. We certainly haven't turned any away or told them not to come, that's for sure. If anything, we've said the city is open for business as far as development goes. Be more than happy to have, developers from anywhere come here. So that's just not true. That, like I said, we don't go after them, they come here. We haven't chased down one. I can't think of one case with all the building going on where we reached out to a developer. It's always been the case when they come to us. As far as some of the programs you were talking about, it specifically says minorities. I don't think it specifies which minority it is. So again, that's where we might run into an issue. But I will talk to, I'll find out. I'll try to get some numbers for you.
Yeah, look, John, minorities definitely means Black, brown, and women. And then on some instances, it definitely specifies African American. That's what some of the SBEs and the WMBEs stand for. And I just it's amazing how this kind of development and this amount of money can be coming in, and African Americans are not participating, and no one from the town either, in the Black or brown community is getting employment. I mean, as you guys are our leaders, you're supposed to be looking out for us. I understand that you are, interested in the tax base, but a lot of Black and brown people are taxpayers as well.
These developers were, and every developer is asked to consider hiring from within the city limits, because we certainly want to see people working from the city, but we can't force them to do that. So, all right, we're past 3, but thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
I will look into that for you. Thank you. Next, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Could you
I don't
get
know.
your?
Okay. Yes, this is Carolyn Davis. Good evening. I have a question. First of all, Mrs. Canestrino, we, as the worker, we do offer our sympathy. I personally offer my sympathy on the passing of your husband. My question tonight is regarding the COVID testing for seniors. That was something that was still in progress, being worked on, and I'd like to know if any progress is made in that area of how we're going to get to the seniors.
I can answer that. I spoke specifically, we worked actually very hard on this, Ms. Davis. We cannot bust them. And the lots, I don't believe, I have to go over and get a square footage on the lots, but in order for them to go to the building, they have to have a certain amount of square footage in the parking lot, obviously for reasons of protection and social distancing. I am trying to get them back here. There's 2 mobile units now. They're going across the county. You got to realize there's 60 to 70 municipalities that are going to be using this. I'll be speaking with Michelle to try to get us on the top of the list on the second go round. There are other local things available. If people can get a ride there, we still have Rite Aid doing testing, but they do need an appointment, and they do need to have insurance. And also the county at Bergen Community College is still testing for COVID and for the antibodies. So if somebody thinks they may have had it, they can just get the antibody test and tell that way. But we are working on that. We tried to get transportation through the Housing Authority. We tried to get transportation for the seniors through the county with their buses. The county said it just was an idea to put these patients, or these seniors together on a bus with the possibility of exposing each other.
If it's, second question, if it's free, why do they have to, the seniors, show insurance? That's one question. And number two, by Beach Street, couldn't they use the high school lot, the high school athletic field somehow?
Well, they could use the high school parking lot if they cordoned off a section of it, because I think the high schools let some of the traveling nurses from out of state use the high school for parking, if I'm not mistaken. But we have lots. I mean, the M&M building's very close to one of our senior centers. I don't know how many of the seniors made it over there, but it's very close. For the senior center on First Street, we could work something out. It one of the, like you said, you do have the lot there. There's also a hospital lot not being used at Newman Street, might be utilized, but this is all going to have to be discussed when we get the second go round of that. Rite Aid, I think, what I've noticed is, it's like always the trick question. It's free, like they take your insurance, therefore it's free. You don't pay anything else if you have insurance. For instance, the county, if you have no insurance, there's still no cost. But if you do have insurance, they do want to use your insurance to try to recoup some funding, which is understandable. So, nothing's totally free, but that's kind of a trick statement when that's made from some of these different testing sites.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Next, please. Anybody else in the public?
I'd like to speak.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Richard Salkin. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you, Rick.
I wasn't going to speak here tonight, but I'm noticing a lot of changing on the fly here, and I don't get it. Well, I do get it, but it's not, doesn't reflect well on you. A gentleman gets up to speak, identifies himself, you immediately lateral off to Deputy Mayor Canestrino, who obviously has prepared remarks. I don't say how that came into being without you knowing it was coming, Mr. Mayor. So that was a bit of a setup. And again, I understand the pressure and strain you've been under, Ms. Canestrino, and you have our sincere condolences. I think you know that. But I don't think name calling put anyone in a good light. Secondly, I see suddenly Bridget, who I don't know Bridget's name, but I know that's how she's identified herself the many times she's gotten up. It's never been challenged before. And for background, Mr. City Manager, there was a woman, a gadfly in Teaneck, who used to get up over at their meetings, give her address. One day they found her trussed and dead in her home. And Teaneck stopped making people give their street addresses, just as background. And I think in law enforcement, you would remember that. The other change is on the fly was what I saw when I reviewed the last meeting of suddenly inappropriate became a standard to cut off a topic put forth by the city attorney. Certainly he knows very well that's not a reason to cut off debate. And you, Mr. Mayor, jumped right down that rabbit hole as soon as you could under that smoke screen. And it was a valid inquiry as to your support of candidates. See, I don't give a rat's tushy who you support as John LaBrosse, but when you use the term mayor, you have no right to do that. You should refrain from doing that because you're dragging the city, the municipal corporation of Hackensack, into politics, and that's just wrong. Like to comment, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I'm trying to think back to exactly what was said. If you want to freshen my memory, please do, Rick.
About what? When Mr. Kleiman cut off, that's inappropriate. We're not going to go there. And you said, I'm going to follow the advice of the city attorney and not discuss this anymore. You know, John, you're on your fourth city attorney and you've been exposed to many attorneys. You know that's not a ground for cutting off discussion. That's a valid inquiry as to your activities using the term mayor and getting involved in politics with the title. I think it's wrong. And that's what I'd like you to respond to, if you will.
Well, Mr. Salkin, I don't think I've ever hidden who I've supported through a campaign.
No, John, you have every right to support whoever you want. I'm not questioning that. But as mayor, I think that's wrong. You want to think about it.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I mean, the concern and the concern that I certainly have, and I think one that Mr. Salkin would agree with, is that council meetings should not be turned, the purpose of a public session is to discuss governmental issues. And I understand he's trying to turn it into a governmental issue, but certainly my perception was that this was turning into a political debate over an election in which the parties, it's not even a municipal election. And what I don't think is appropriate, and I can't believe Mr. Salkin would say it is for this to turn into, a political debate over who to vote for in another election. That is not germane to city business in any way. And, we don't want to have council members getting up and giving political endorsement speeches. And we don't want to have, people showing up at meetings and turning them into political endorsement speeches. It has to relate to city business, and partisan politics should not be going on in a council meeting in that manner. So to the extent that issue was raised, by way of recollection, to the best I can remember it, that was the concern that I perceived, and that is the reason I gave the advice I gave, and why I believe it was the correct advice.
It was absolutely the incorrect advice, Stephen. You know that. There's no limitations. The definition of what is of concern is in the possession of the public, not you, not Mr. LaBrosse. And
there is an objective reality. It's not just simply what's in somebody's mind. And the objective reality is that the city council chambers is not to be a political campaigning.
Nor should the term mayor be used politically in support of other people. How about that? Can you be consistent?
Well, again, I have no idea what you're referring to.
Yeah, you have not.
Sure. And that's the only comment I have on that.
Nice try, Steve. Doesn't wash. Goodbye.
Next, please.
John, I just have one question about the COVID testing. Do you need a location for free testing for seniors and residents? Because if you do,
we're a little out of order here because you're not supposed to come back on. But I'm going to answer the question. Once Michelle gets back to me, I'm going to be looking for sites that have the amount of square footage required for the testing in an area where it's safe for people to line up, because we had lines of 2 to 3 blocks on the last testing day, and try to get closer to one of the other senior centers. That's my goal. So, the lots over there, I don't know how, some of these seniors aren't too mobile. I don't know how we're going to get them there, but they're, it's either somebody's going to drive them or they're going to have to walk there.
Unless we can set up. My church where my 501c3 is at, it's 1.5 blocks away from the MLK Center. And I'm pretty sure I would be able to avail the building. I'll check with the pastor, but I would like to have that in consideration.
Do me a favor, Randy, email me
Sure.
the information so I can go and get a measurement of the parking lot so I can share that with the county to see if it's big enough.
Sure.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, this is Blanche Stewart. How are you today?
I'm good.
a member of the work group. I'm also a commissioner for the Hackensack Housing Authority in the 40 Kansas Street, 175 West Railroad, 164 Beach Street, 65 First Street. Those are all the senior complexes, and there is sufficient space. Now, as far as lining up, because they're senior buildings, those people are more susceptible to dying actually from COVID. So, and it's hard for them, difficult for them to travel and to stand. I did go to the M&M building and I stood for a long period of time. There were some elderly people there who barely could stand that length of time. They were on canes. But what I was going to say, it would be easier to try to have those locations at those senior buildings, and so that they don't have to stand out the whole time. Maybe there is a way that we can do it by floor for the people who live in those complexes. So they can't all come out at the same time and congregate at the same time because they could be passing the virus. That's just a suggestion.
The problem, Blanche, if I may say, Ms. Stewart, if I may say, is even though it's in Hackensack, it's open to the entire county.
I
Just like
do understand that.
it's open to the whole county. So it's not just going to be, I wouldn't do it by floor because those people might end up at the back of the line and never get tested. The other criteria is I can't change the amount of square footage required for them to perform this service. So that's why I need to get some measurements of one of their lots or something very close. That's the only way we'll be able to do it. The closer
I
the
do
better.
realize that the back of 65 does have, not the side, because it's very small on the side, but the back area, yeah, 65 First Street. In fact, that back area, at one time, they were using a crane for the hospital to do construction on Second Street at the hospital. So that area, I believe, is wide enough or long enough, sufficient enough to put tents and a mobile unit. I could be wrong, but I think it is. But your suggestion about the hospital, I mean, not the hospital, the high school parking lot would be sufficient. The only reason I say, I'm sorry.
No, we will get, I want to go over and measure the back of First Street and get the dimensions over to Michelle from the county. That's the chief of staff for Executive Tedesco, because she did a great job last time setting this up. And as many people as they did, it still went very smoothly, and they did a great job. And I think they tested anywhere from 500 to 600 people that day for both COVID, and they ran out of probably by 2 o'clock, I think, doing the antibody testing. But I'm on it. It's going to be another week or so before I can get this thing back in here.
Can I just throw one thing in before I'm sure my minutes are up, but quickly. I know in other counties and other towns, they are doing the public housing units because that's where a lot of the low income, people with diabetes, elderly live. So they are specifically doing those areas like they do first responders first or whatever. So, I mean, maybe there is a way that they can do that because it's public housing and that's where the virus can be transmitted more easily. Just a suggestion.
Okay, I'd like to know if we have what kind of numbers we have of COVID cases that have come out of the public housing. That's something, maybe Mr. What's his name? Tony. I can't think of his last name right now.
We can't get it because of HIPAA laws. We're not allowed to know exactly who is who. And I guess the health department, city health department would know that.
Yeah, but they can't release it either. I know Kathy works for it.
See, we can't.
They got to be very careful what anybody else is allowed to see. So you're right. Okay. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Hi, good evening. This is Cassine Gaines, Hackensack, New Jersey. I just had a quick question and a request for clarification on something that Mr. Kleinman just said a couple of minutes ago. I believe he said that the council chambers is not a place for partisan politics or political posturing. And I just thought back to 2016 when media outlets were invited with the deputy mayor and the mayor to municipal locations like the outside of the Hack Pack and actually council chambers for a very public change of party registration and denouncing of then candidate Donald Trump. And so I just wanted to get clarification from Mr. Kleinman as to whether or not that was inappropriate activity. Thank you.
Mr. Kleinman?
Well, I was not part of the city in 2016, so it's hard for me to speak about something of which I'm not familiar. What I was saying is that I do not believe it is proper during a council meeting for the council to be endorsing candidates from the dais or for people to be endorsing people. And what kind of free-for-all that creates to do with the actual operations of municipal government. You know, the council chamber in terms of a public meeting is supposed to be for public purposes, partisan political endorsements do not represent that. With respect to the circumstances back in 2016, as I said, I can't particularly speak to it, but I am perfectly comfortable in saying that, as I said before, I would not recommend the council be endorsing candidates from where you stand, and I do not believe it's appropriate for for there to be political back and forth with respect to partisan campaigning. You could now keep in mind, to be clear, that is very separate from criticizing actual activities of the mayor or council, or expressing support for the activities of the mayor and the council. What we're talking about here is actual politicking in City Hall. It's pretty crystal clear that that's not what's supposed to happen here. Now, with respect to what he seems to have referenced, it doesn't sound like there was actual campaigning going on, but as I said, I wasn't there, so I can't speak to it beyond that.
I just wanted to add, and again, I'm not going back and forth, but I was just very brief, so I just wanted to follow up and just get clarification. I know that you weren't here in 2016, but I suppose I've sat in council chambers before when members of the council have stated how they are going to publicly vote on things like the school referendum and things like that. And so what I wanted to ask was, if in 2020, as you are the city attorney right now, would you consider it to be inadvisable for any member of the mayor and council to invite news cameras into council chambers and declare their party registration and denounce a presidential candidate? Would you consider that right now to be inappropriate?
Again, all comes down to context and circumstance.
If I could step in, that was not during a council meeting. That was.
No, I understand, Mr. LaBrosse. I understand. I'm saying he specifically referenced the location of council chambers.
I think when the attorney spoke to using the word City Hall, he was talking about doing city business as a city council. I'm not sure. He can clarify on that. I have no issue.
That's all I was asking, because the general public does not have access to those spaces. So those are spaces that you have access to as a member of the council, as the mayor. And that's all I was asking was, is it inappropriate to use those spaces in that capacity, using your designation as mayor for a partisan purpose? That was my question.
Well, again, I'm not really clear as to the context. As I said before, I have zero issue or concern with criticizing the actions of a governmental official. If you're criticizing the president or praising the president, or criticizing the mayor or praising the mayor, I don't see that being of any particular concern, whatsoever. I'm not really familiar, as I said, with respect to this partisan change thing, so I don't really want to get into speaking about something I don't know about. What I am trying to say, and what I would impress upon the council and anyone speaking, is, obviously, Mr. Gaines, I believe you served in elective office yourself, and you have, when they're sitting up, when you're sitting up at the council chambers in a council meeting, you are exercising your governmental authority at that meeting. And, the members of the public who are afforded the opportunity to speak, they have their 3 minutes to speak on matters that are relevant to, to the government at hand. And so, again, if you turn this into saying, hey, there's no issue for that, you would just have city council meetings become nothing but, political endorsement meetings. And that's not the purpose of a city council meeting. So my comments are specifically to that fact context. What you seem to be describing is a public official criticizing another public official, which, as you well know, you have every right to do that as a member of the public, and I would never represent that that's a concern. But when you start saying, let's go discuss, who we're going to vote for, who we're going to endorse in an election, for school board, that is of a concern to me. And I represented my belief that that's a concern. I think the council respects that, and hopefully the public respects that.
Mr. Gaines, are you finished?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaines. Next, please.
Peter Marcassani at Davis Avenue, Hackensack.
Hi, Pete.
Street. I got the street in there, and I got the city. Kathy, obviously you weren't here at the last meeting. I did express my condolences and your loss of Emil. What a wonderful man, and also expressed at the time how difficult it was for you, especially over the past year, to do all of your work for the city while you were going through that personal struggle. So I want to say, now that I have you face to face, or at least your face, that my deepest condolences.
Thank you, Pete.
The silence gives consent. Mangan and company are at it again. Nobody has anything to say about the budget because I guess it's a good budget, you know. Nobody could ask for anything more. So thanks again for putting those numbers together and crunching everything. You mentioned earlier, I think the city manager mentioned that there is an online survey for the open space and parks in Hackensack. I had raised the question, I guess I get through Gary Terzano, and he contacted one of the people, I guess, that had put the survey up, that the number 17 was a death spiral. Question number 17, you couldn't answer it and go any further. And they said they'd get back to everybody when it was fixed. I haven't heard anything, so I don't know whether any of you are aware of that at all or not, or whether it is fixed. That would be one question. I don't know whether anybody wants to just say yes or no. Ted, do you know at all of it?
I know it's a concern. I don't think it's fixed yet, but we're working on that answer.
It has been fixed. It has been fixed.
It has been.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it has been. I tried it and it worked this time around, so.
Okay, great. Sty Park construction, I guess, is ready to begin. Is that what the resolution was tonight, to issue the funds to the company that's going to start work, I guess, up there? And the other thing was the environment at Sty Park. I know there's been concerns in the Davis Avenue area about, and I know you've heard about it. A lot of it is just rumor. I don't know what the substance is, although I did go up and observe myself that there's been some tree cutting going on, and there's been a lot of shrubbery that had been cleaned out along the river that some people claim was put there by the Hackensack Riverkeeper. That's all hearsay. I know the city said they didn't do it. Maybe the county did. I don't know whether the county said, well, maybe the city did, or somebody went up there and did it on their own. But I don't know whether you have any information about that at all. And then just one little aside, it's semi-germane to the conversation. Who is the work group? And I'm obviously not a member of the work group, but I hear that term come up all the time, the work group. Anyway, that's about it. Thank you very much.
Mayor, can I answer that?
Yes, go ahead.
The city has removed 3 trees that were dead. 2 the previous week, 1 last week. There's a beech tree that looks like the Keebler elves are making cookies in the trunk of it, but that looks to be close to the river. The city of Hackensack, when they had the stump grinder out to remove stumps, removed a stump that I would refer to as part of Sty Park. We are not clearing, cleaning, or doing anything. That would be the county and or the river keepers, because obviously DEP requires any waterway. It has to be done manually. It can't be done with a machine. So I have spoken to Gary. I'm very clear on the requirements of the riparian corridor that provides obviously shade and part of the river and its health and its self-maintenance. But the city's not, the only time we get involved, and candidly the only time I become involved, is that when we remove a tree because it's dead and it's a safety concern, and we take photos of those. So this notion that the city just goes in there and hacks away at these trees because we certainly want to, you know, come up with more firewood. We have plenty of firewood to give out at Johnson Park. So I'm not understanding these rumors, but Hackensack seems to develop them pretty easily.
No, good enough, Ted. I'm just happy you have your arms around it. That's fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Pete. Next from the public. Hello? Anyone else from the public?
I'm
Mayor.
done. I know I spoke already. I just want to put on record that I am a part of the work group.
Thank
You
you.
just asked, my name is Blanche Stewart. I'm a part of the work group.
Next, please. Anybody else from the public?
Mayor, I have something from Regina De Pasqua.
Okay.
Tonight I have comments, not questions, as my questions rarely get answered anyway. Last meeting, I asked about COVID-19 cases, and my questions were ignored. I also asked about the city providing testing for residents, and all that came of that was that Mr. Kleinman took exception to what I stated. But he did confirm that he was contacted about providing testing for residents, and the mayor later confirmed that cost is an issue, so I was not too far off. Also, at the last meeting, the city attorney cut off a resident because he deemed her comments to be inappropriate. That is outright censorship and a violation of the Open Public Meeting Act, as well as the rights of residents. At the public comment part of the hearing, residents can bring up issues that they choose, ask any question, and make any comment that is within the standards of decorum and public decency. The city attorney has no right, obligation, or duty to censor residents. This is not the first time it has happened. The mayor and council, by their silence, seem to consent to such censorship and violation of the rights of the public at a public meeting. As has been proven with my prior questions, the council does not have to answer or comment. However, you, as a public body, do not have the right to stop the public from commenting and asking questions. I ask that you address this immediately so as to not infringe upon the rights of any other residents.
Okay.
And just if I may note for the record that Mr. Pasqua did submit a request for information, I believe, via Oprah. And even though it was not a properly formatted Oprah request, I do believe it was responded to, and they did provide her with the information that she was seeking. And I think the record should reflect that.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public, please?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
It was Jeffrey Hackensack. My biggest question is, what is the intent of the council? I've noticed that you guys have endorsed twice political, I guess, candidates for the Board of Education. And my question is, what exactly is the intent? As a future father, I don't see the educational system in Hackensack moving in a direction where I do want to keep my kids in Hackensack. But I see that this council does endorse a lot of the candidates. So is there a move by the council to work more with the Board of Education to improve the school system? Because it seems like the council does want to get involved with the Board of Education, seeing that all the endorsements are coming up.
Okay, Jeffrey, you done talking? I'll start. Or you have any other questions?
I'm done talking at this point.
All right. I can answer that. I mean, for years, when we were first elected, to be quite honest with you, there was absolutely no relationship between the Board of Ed and the City Council. That has changed, and quite obviously, there's politics involved in both sides. We're all elected officials, so there's politics involved. And yes, we did endorse candidates. We have done that in the past, and we'll continue to do so. It's commonplace all over this country for city councils to endorse Board of Ed candidates who they think they can work with. We need to work together, and you are 100% on target with your comment about looking to improve the schools by having a Board of Ed that this city council can work hand in hand with on where we're going with the city, what the goals are, what's best for the students, student population, how to deal with it, all the different things. Instead of butting heads about this, this is something where the two groups should be sitting together with representatives from both sides to come up with a great plan to move the city forward. And if you've seen what we've done with the city itself over the last 7 years, you can see the difference of where the city is going. And our schools need to be with us moving forward. And, my wife's a teacher in this town. I have a vested interest in her being able to do her job. And we want the school, the Board of Ed, and the city of Hackensack all to work in harmony together. We think that would be a great accomplishment if we can do that, because that hasn't happened for years. And that is our goal. Yes. I hope that answers your question, Jeff.
It does answer my question. I mean, it's just, if I could just add on real quick.
Sure.
The biggest thing is when in the past you've spoken a lot about city infrastructure, and I believe that the educational system within the city is a major part of the infrastructure. And I know you guys get a lot of criticism about, you know, the pilot programs, and I've also given a bit of criticism to the council about the pilot programs and money not going to the educational system. But the biggest point that I want to make with it is, you know, the educational system in Hackensack is a big part of the infrastructure of Hackensack. It's a big deal breaker for people coming in or people that decide to move out. So I just want the council to keep that in mind. And hopefully, I mean, seeing that you've been successful with these endorsements, hopefully we are moving forward.
I hope so as well. Thanks for your comments, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Hi, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I said already, but somebody asked a question about the work group. So that was Mr. Marquezano. Pete, this is Carolyn Davis. You know me for a long time. I am the founder of the work group. I'm the president of it, and it was formed to bring community information to our neighbors who don't always come to council meetings and seek what's best for them.
Anybody else in the public? Going once?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Can I just interrupt for a minute? This is Susan McVeigh, the health officer.
Go ahead, Susan.
Sorry, I was on the call late. I was having some technical difficulties, but I just wanted to reiterate what you were saying. And I was on a call on Saturday with the state health department and the health commissioner talking about expanding our testing capabilities within the state, within Hackensack, and we are working diligently to get that happening. By the end of the month, on a call today, CVS will have the capabilities to be testing. As you said, Rite Aid will be testing, and the whole city, the mayor, myself, the manager, are working with Bergen County and Newbridge to get those mobile testings closer back into Hackensack in a quicker manner, and to get our seniors tested. So I've been in touch with Bergen County, with the Housing Authority, and we are working on that every day, and it'll happen. One last thing is that the long-term care facilities, they will all, everyone in the long-term care facilities will be tested by the end of May.
Very
So
good.
if you have
That's
any
great news.
questions for me that I missed, I apologize, I'm here.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Anybody else in the public who would like to speak? Seeing none, motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Sims,
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia,
Leo.
Council-
He's on mute. There you go.
unmute. Councilmember Pataglia.
You hear me?
Yes.
Gotcha. Mayor
Okay.
LaBrosse.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. Who's up first? Stephanie.
Sure. Thank you everyone for coming out. We continue to thank all of our frontline workers, first responders, city employees, residents, volunteers, and small business owners throughout the city who continue to step up to help. Mr. Bolano, thank you for your question regarding the Board of Ed. As I stated last meeting, I don't use city meetings as a platform to endorse candidates, but as a parent of 3 children in the Hackensack School District, I think it is imperative to have open dialogue between the city and the school, because there are a lot of ways that we can work together so that we can offer more to our students and teachers. I have all 3 of my children in the school district. I have faith in the teachers, and I have faith that things are going to get better, but you know, I share your concerns too. But again, I think when you have a city and Board of Ed that work together and work together for the good of the students, you're going to see a lot of change. When I first started on the council, we did not meet with the Board of Ed regularly, and we do now. And it's all about ways we can help each other and help the students, because that's the main goal. And like you said, there's a lot of infrastructure improvements going on. There's redevelopment. You could see on the agenda tonight, there was improvements in our parks. All those things that we want for our city to improve, we want the same for the schools for our students. So, thank you for asking that question. And that is a concern that, I always have. But again, I have 3 children in the public schools, and I stand by, the goals that we have working together. In regards to the open space survey found on the website, it's critical in helping the city decide where and which improvements are needed in our open spaces throughout the city. So please go on to hackensack.org, the city website, and fill out the survey, because all the input of all the students should be citizens should be taken into consideration. As our city manager mentioned earlier, the city had to make the disappointing decision to cancel the fireworks and summer camps and other city hosted events in the summer. As a parent, like many of the parents throughout the city, this is of course upsetting, because we want normalcy for our children, but we have to make the health and safety of our children and all the citizens a priority. So, we know baseball and all spring sports have been canceled and students will not be returning to school this year. But I still want to encourage our children to get fresh air, to get some vitamin D and exercise. My fear, I have 3 kids at home. I'm fearful that these children are going to rot of sitting around and playing video games and not getting out and being scared to get out. So as long as parents and children understand, social distancing and other CDC guidelines, I think we should encourage our children to, go for a bike ride or walk or exercise and be outside, because it's going to be a long summer and we don't want our children to be, afraid to go outside and become, getting into a routine of being sedentary. So just that one little, word of encouragement, that we should encourage children to get fresh air, but just remind them about, social distancing. Thank you for coming out, and have a good night.
Thank you. Kathy?
Okay, first I want to thank Patrice Forsman for her presentation of the Main Street Alliance budget. I'm very happy to see that the Alliance is going to be focused on helping our businesses and business owners recover from the impact of COVID-19. I think that it's going to be a very difficult year for everyone, business owners and residents alike. And seeing the focus shift, even if it's temporarily, to really help people get back on track. I think Main Street Alliance, you're headed in the right direction, and I was very, very happy and pleased to see that. Finally, I want to thank everyone in the city for their support of me and what has come through as an outpouring of love for my husband. Emil's been, a vocal person here in the city for his entire life. He lived outside of Hackensack. He lived in Hasbrook Heights for 1 year, the first year we were married. Other than that, he was born here and lived here his entire life. And Hackensack meant the world to him. And it was so wonderful to see and hear, and people call and send cards and say how much they appreciated him throughout all the years, and to show their care and concern for me and my family as well. It really warmed my heart, especially to see people maybe that aren't on the same line with me politically still reach out and see how I was doing and see how express their condolences for Emil. So I want to thank each and every one of you that did that, because it really, really meant the world to me and the world to my family. It's a difficult time to lose someone during this pandemic. It's very difficult to get closure, because there's so many things that would normally be done at this time that can't due to the pandemic. So these, however small or however large they may be, I mean, I think this is the first week that we're cooking, because that's how many meals were being sent to my home. And it was truly, a wonderful, wonderful, heartwarming thing, and so greatly, greatly appreciated by myself, my family, my grandkids, could sit here at night and while we had those dinners together say, everybody really loved Pop-Up Grandma, not just us. And I want to share that with you, because those words are truly, truly important. So please, everyone, stay happy, stay safe, stay healthy, practice social distancing, take care of each other, because Hackensack's strong. Remember, we're united together, and we will get through this. And Thanks again, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, Kathy. David?
My prayers are with all the citizens and families who have lost loved ones to this COVID-19. Last week, as Ted mentioned, we had the mobile unit at the M&M parking lot. I want to thank the county, Newbridge, the city workers, the police. We had over 500 people and over 100 first responders were tested for this COVID-19 and the antibody. This week is National Public Workers Week, and I want to thank the DPW staff and the workers that they keep this city clean. I want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day. Be safe. Good night.
Thank you, Dave. Leo?
Well, everybody know that for the rest of my life, I'm gonna meet my friend Emil. We fight, we lunch together. We used to go around the city. He enjoyed looking how the city is changing. I'm gonna miss him a lot. Go to the COVID-19 is something that has impacted all our residents, it's impacted our life, and it's no question that we're gonna have financial problems, and it's something that we're gonna try to do the best we can as a city council. Our group that called the financial group that formed by Ted, Jean, Kathy, and myself, we're gonna try as many control we can to try to prevent any problems in our city. We have to thank every time that we got a meeting, people like Pablo, the Bobby from Cobis and Clemente, that they are helping our residents, our first responder. Like last night, Pablo got a dinner for the fire department, and that is helping our first responder, our seniors, the DPW, everybody. Thank you, Pablo, again. Now we're gonna go to the lighting. PSG already update 3 locations in the city, Summit and Poplar, American Legion Summit, and some area by Brook Street. The paving continue. In the next 2-3 weeks, we're gonna pave M Street, North Prospect, and we're gonna go to Cron, Wilson, American Legion, maybe Beach Street. We got plans to go and try pave 2nd Street. We got in contact with the county that way we can do 1st Street and Passage Street. Access Street, some people recommend that we should be wait due to the fact that the hospital is doing the construction and you're gonna have all the heavy trucks, so it might as well we can wait for that. Then we continue working in Main Street. We are doing the sewer and stormwater separations. If you go by Main Street, you're gonna see in the next few weeks that we're gonna have benches, new lights, and eventually we're gonna pave and you're gonna have the 2 ways. Congratulations to the new members of the Board of Education and expecting to work together with them. And then the other thing is the census. The resident has to participate in the census because the moment that we're gonna count the numbers, if we're gonna be missing a lot of people, we're gonna miss a lot of money. So please participate in the census. And please stay home, wash your hands, be safe. Eventually, we're gonna be okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. I want to start off by thanking Jim. Another great job with the budget. We got it through, so it's hopefully everything's good down in Trenton and another successful year. And looking forward to see what the budget's going to look like next year. Yeah, we'll see how
you and me both.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little scary this year. Patrice Forsman, thanks for being here tonight to talk about the budget and what you guys plan on doing with it. The city appreciates everything you've been doing to help through this COVID crisis, especially with feeding people. The restaurant voucher program was a great idea. And I know you've gone out of your way. The Main Street Alliance has also put their money in other places to help get Hackensack residents in need to be fed. So kudos to you guys for that. We appreciate it. We're glad we got your budget through as well. Memorial Day is coming up. Tomorrow, there'll be a very small ceremony with the council and past Mayor Mike Melfi, who is the commander of the American Legion post here in town. We're going to do, the wreaths will be up as usual, but we won't have the crowds there, especially because a lot of our veterans are seniors, and we certainly don't want them out and about. We want them to stay on lockdown if they can. We'll have a brief ceremony with some words, and it will be for all to see on our website. So it was announced earlier, but I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. Leo's right, the census, you have to fill out your census, folks. It's so important. The money we get depends on the census, all right? So if we come up short, we're gonna come up short on funding. And with this COVID issue going on, the way it's gonna hit everybody, we need all the funding we can get, all right? So, you know, anybody you know, ask them if they've done their census. If they need help, you can help them with it. Tell people not to be afraid of taking the census. No one's going to track them down from taking the census. So we need to get the numbers in of what our population in the city is, all right? And they need a whole demographic. That's what it's all about. And the money we get is based on the information in that census. So please fill it out. Paving, Leo spoke to the paving, get a lot of paving done lately. Prospect from Passaic Street all the way to Ross looks great. They did a great job. Are they gonna line that, Ted?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yep.
COVID testing, we're continuing to work, as you heard our health officer, Ms. McVeigh, speak to that. We're gonna try to focus on senior testing as well. And we're working on some other things too. I mean, there's a lot of different organizations. And we're trying to also do the testing that seems to be working the best as well. I mean, there's some testing sites that are actually haven't done well because I think that because their percentages were not doing that well. Stuyve Park, you saw we passed that tonight. That'll be moving soon. We'll get that work started. On the sad note, as Stephanie mentioned, you know, there'll be no Hack Pack this summer at least. There'll be no summer concerts. There'll be no 4th of July. There'll be no fireworks. Shakespeare in the Park is canceled. The movies Under the Stars will be canceled. The Friday Atlantic Street Park concerts are canceled. I am looking into one thing for the citizens because they have allowed drive-in movies,
Right.
and they do have portable drive-in movie screens where you sit in your car and listen on your FM radio. It's very inexpensive, so it's something I'd like to look into. It's something we could probably do in like Fashini Park parking lot or something like that, or you know, the parking lot by Johnson Park. But it gives it, you know, there's a limited attendance because you obviously can't have 1,000 people go, 1,000 cars, but we could do a couple different movies during the course of this, you know, course of a month or so, on maybe a Friday night or a Saturday night, something we might be able to do. That's you know, at least something for the public to participate in and that we can help them with. I want to give a special thanks out again to Corey and Kelly Carroll with all the work they're doing with feeding the needy people here in Hackensack. City's been working closely with them, and everything seems to be going pretty good, but they still could use some funding, and anybody who's out there interested in helping them, they've been doing a great job. They've been on all the news channels, and they're working out of their house, but now they're working out of the Civic Center. They needed some more room. So kudos to them again. And thanks to all of our public workers. They're all doing a great job, you know, from top to bottom, across. They're all working, especially our essential workers. But looking forward to our regular public workers who are working from home, and looking forward to seeing their faces again back here in City Hall, because that means this pandemic is loosening up and almost over. So I want everybody to stay safe, practice social distancing, and check on your loved ones, make sure everybody's all right, check on friends, all right? And have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, folks. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.
Any motion? Mayor?
Motion to close.
Offer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye, aye. Good night, all.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Aye.